tell you that that was absolutely the way that things should have happened, i.e. skip the part where Reynolds gets to talk. I promise you, I assumed that was in fact intentional. Forgive me if at times I pause for a moment. I promise that it's not stage fright or that I've forgotten what I want to say. It's just every second that I take to pause is another second that I get to be in the squadron. I've been here for a little while now, and it's going to be very hard for me to leave. And when I shared that with my wife, that it might take me a moment or two, she said, well, that's fair, but I'm sure the place will be packed. And I said, it's great, honey, that you feel like a lot of folks are going to want to come and see me off. And she said, no, they just want to show up to make sure you actually leave and get the heck out of the way finally. So that's the obligatory first joke. I know, I'm sorry. I wanted to say first thank you to all of the distinguished visitors for taking time out of your schedule to stop by. General Gibson, Nancy, sir, ma'am, thank you. Colonel Price, Stephanie, Chief North, Leslie, Colonel E, Tracy, Colonel Simonson, thank you all very much for coming. I really appreciate your making time to do that. I'd like to start by thanking Colonel Price for allowing me to command in his wing. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you personally, sir, for setting the example of what a true strategic leader looks like. For 17 years, 8 duty stations all around the world, and my OPR is closed out, so I can say these things now. You're the finest wing commander that I have ever known. I also understand very well, sir, that you are smarter than I am, and I respectfully requested Stephanie to just stop proving that to me. I would have felt much better. Colonel Eads, sir, I appreciate that in the short time we've been together, you made it clear to us and to the squadron leadership that one of your roles is, as the vice, is to be here to help the squadron commanders support their folks better. So I appreciate that was one of the very first things you said to me personally and to us. Tell me what I can do for you, tell me how I can make things better. So thank you, and they've let me go off to be a deputy, so I'll try to carry that mindset forth. Colonel Bland, sir, I appreciate your willingness to say nice things about someone you barely knew. I promise the check is in the mail. I'm sorry we won't get to work together. I know that the group will grow much stronger under your leadership and your focused analytical approach, which is code to my fellow commanders who stand by for taskers, because here they come. But truthfully and honestly, sir, I think that focused, measured, analytical approach between you and Colonel Lang, I mean, they won't be able to stop the 305th. It'll be amazing. To Mr. Haynes, I can't thank Mr. Haynes enough for all the mentoring and the guidance, because it helped the squadron perform better. He offered his mentoring in the future, and I promised him I would email from Whiteman, although I expect an out of office after the first 3 or 4 emails. Colonel Simonson, I've been fortunate enough to be at or near the flight line in several places now, and I've never seen an ops maintenance relationship like this one. So I've always been proud to be associated with ops as a support entity, and having a great relationship just makes it that much easier. I know that starts with you and your predecessor, so thank you for that. To the 514th AMXS, Colonel Esposito and company, I personally think that we in the 305th and 514th have done TFI properly, and Chief Sandy Rivera, who I'm sure many of you remember, Chief Sandy Rivera, a legendary 514th AMXS, told me not to mess it up. And the thing that I wanted to say most about TFI, because of course I would stand up here and say I love our TFI brothers. However, I wanted to say personally that this is what I saw. For the last 3 years, the squadron pulled so many rotations through Thumb Raid Air Base Oman. Every single rotation, there was 1 or more 514 folks on it. That is the most meaningful thing to me that I could ever say to or about the 514th. Those were active duty taskers, and to all our folks, all 305th that's in the audience, they did not have to take those. They chose to do so. They pulled them over Christmas, they pulled them over summer when kids were in school, it didn't matter. And every single time without exception they were there, made that citizen airman thing. I mean, that's an actual thing. They were there, they got on the bus with us. It meant so much to me because it meant a Bulldog stayed with their family because a reservist stepped up. So I thank you for that, and for the UTA weekends, and for the prod teamwork that we've had. And the unrelenting force that is Chief Whiteley and Senior Hofrichter. To my fellow commanders, friends, brothers, please wait until you at least hear the car pull away before telling Colonel Lang what a turd I've been. It's been a sheer pleasure working with all of you. Honestly, I can't thank you enough for the friendship, support, help, mentoring, butt kicking, and cold beverages, sodas. Barry, thanks for opening my eyes. I never knew anything about Aerialport. I still don't, but I assume you guys do lots of hugging. That's what I've heard. But I thank you personally on behalf of my wife and I, because I literally got a call about 5 minutes before we came over here from TMO going, hey, the driver's going to drop your stuff off at the door, sir. Hey, we made it happen for you. I mean, and so I know that's on you asking your folks. So thank you from one family to another family. Thank you. To Gary, who came in here from a golf tournament, which is awesome. My fellow 5th Recon Black Cat. Osan veteran, thank you for listening to my thoughts and not making fun of me, at least for the first few minutes. I do appreciate that. And for your wife watching our kid and all that sort of thing. Rob, that's cool. I'm sorry, honestly, because real aircraft have 4 motors, man. I'm just saying. But despite that handicap, it's been a real pleasure watching you operate and listening to your stories, and I wouldn't trade with you. I mean, those challenges the struggle is real, so I've enjoyed watching you operate, and thank you very much for all your help. And I will be contacting you from Whiteman to ask how we did things when you were there. To my wife, when I was a younger man, I had a Trans Am, and I had a motorcycle, and I had a black leather jacket, and I had an apartment full of books and a fridge full of beer. And that's a fine life, and I loved that life, and I enjoyed every minute of it, I promise. But when I met you, I knew that you were the one. I knew it. I knew it in about a week that it was you. That was the only choice that I had. And that I knew that if I could be with you, that I would have a home and a family and a place at the table. And I wouldn't just be a guy with a cool jacket and some beer. Everyone who gives this speech always is going to say thanks to your wife or thanks to the husband. But the thing that I wanted to say to you is, if I didn't have you, there would be no point. None of this stuff would matter. So thank you. I can never thank you enough, but I wanted to thank you, and I got you something nice. So please, Jeremy, my wife some flowers. She's taken, so no flirting. That's BTZ right there. Aaron Claus BTZ. To my son, who is 3 and isn't really listening, but that's okay. My son is 3 and he likes trucks, and who doesn't? I want to say that all I wanted in my whole life, on behalf of my son, all I wanted in my whole life was to be a husband and a father, personally speaking. My father told me that the American dream was that every generation would do a little bit better. And I just want to share with you all, my son is smarter than I was. He talks a lot more than I did. The little girls in daycare, I swear, they love him. No one ever likes me at all, but the little daycare girls, they're all over my son. So he's going to do far better than I ever did. And he's my son, and I love him, and I'm proud to be his father. And to my parents, to my father, I want to say thank you for setting the example of what a real father and a real man is supposed to be. Truthfully, I've never heard the man ask for a single thing. I never have, and I've never heard him complain about a single thing except for me. And I can't blame him for that. So thank you for giving me a target to shoot for, and to my mother, thank you for teaching me how to be strong and smart. Not that I am, but I could be if I was more like her. I'm proud that my parents are really just great Americans. And to my sister and brother who couldn't make it, my sister is here, my brother is not, but I wanted to say it's obvious who's the best and most favorite sibling. To the Bully Beef, I wanted to say thanks for allowing me to be a very small part of the mission. I'm very proud to be able to say I was associated with the Beef, who saves lives while risking their own and goes unhesitatingly into harm's way when the nation needs it. It's great to know that we share a building and a purpose, and it is about the airmen and about the aircraft, and those folks, the Bully Beef, with our FCCs on the aircraft, risk their lives every single day of the week, and that is something we should all be proud of, that association. To Colonel Lang, they're going to make me leave in just a moment. I know I'll get the hook. I'm glad that if I have to go, that you're the one that's taken over. I know you'll fix all the things I messed up, improve the things we started, and take it to the next level. You and Cherub and your boys are going to be a great team. He's got 2 boys now, I have 1, so obviously more is better, so he'll do better. Thank you for taking care of our airmen, because some of these folks, I've known them their whole careers, and to have to walk away is difficult. So I know that you care about them and about what we do. And if nothing else, you're not going to have to tell him about the aircraft. I promise you that, so that'll help. To everyone who set up the ceremony, Captain Pia, Sergeant Remy, Sergeant Hicks, again, amazing singer. Technical Sergeant Remy, I bet he loves hearing that about as much as I love saying it. Airman Bidwell, Airman Schlender, Airman Ortiz, Airman Hagen, thank you all very much. I'll miss you and everyone, and I hope your memories of the last 3 years are at least okay-ish, kind of. And because I saw him there also, Chief Perino, Chief Retired Perino, our squadron has been so very fortunate. You all wouldn't believe how many great folks are our Bulldog alumni that are working with the 89th at Andrews, taking care of the president, working in the IG, working in safety. Multiple retired chiefs working in this group. OPSO's gone on to great career programs, former commanders kicking butt. Maybe not myself, but all the ones before me. That we've outplaced a lot of great Bulldogs, and they're making names for themselves. Chief Perino was our squadron chief for a significant time, and every single time, the long and the short of it is, Chief, I can't tell you how many airmen came to me and said, you know, wow, Chief Perino, right after you left, well, I really miss him. And his heart for the airmen and the amount that he cared about looking out for people and taking care of people was incredible. And I'm just so very glad to have him back in the mix, working on the Boeing side. And just, Chief, I know how much you cared, so thank you so much for that. And to Carolina Maples and Sergeant Maples, both of you have huge hearts, but Carolina as the key spouse, thank you for all those late night phone calls to the deployed spouses, to those who had different issues of different sorts, for the Facebook posts and the phone calls and the carrying them to and from where they needed to get. I mean, thank you so much for doing that. I knew every single day how much you cared. And like I said, Sergeant Maples, when you make master, ping me, because I'll still be in the global. And last but never really, obviously, to the mighty Bulldogs, to the squadron itself. The only thing I ever wanted to be professionally was an aircraft maintenance officer. I never dreamed I'd get to serve as a commander of not just a squadron, but an AMXS. You can't say that's the pinnacle of maintenance officer life when you have a group commander here, but AMXS commander, I mean, that's when we were lieutenants, that was where the real stuff happened. So to get to do that is more than, it's been the greatest professional joy of my life. And I've said a lot of words to the squadron over the last 3 years, so I'm just about out. There are just two things that I hope that they and you and we will remember, and the first one is, I want our folks to remember that they always got on the bus. Every 179 days, I literally put a crew on the bus, and it went to Baltimore and on to Oman Air Base. And I watched you folks. I watched y'all kiss your wives, your husband, your loved ones, your kids. I saw that, and I'm saying this, not that you don't know it, but I want you to know that I saw it and I noticed it, and it wasn't a small thing. Not one of our folks, and this isn't the case everywhere, not one of our folks, when the UDM said, hey, all right guys, let's go, it's time to get on the bus, let's do this, not one person said no or walked away or said they couldn't do it. Every single person said, all right, I'm out, I'm getting on the bus. And I watched for 3 years as you went to Oman, came back from Oman, went to Oman again, and I want you to know that I was proud to see and be part of, be associated with such great and good men and women who went when their country needed them and did the work that had to be done so that all of our loved ones could be safe. Because honestly, I mean, some things about being commander are very difficult, but I wasn't on the bus. I didn't have to leave my wife and my son, and it would kill me to do it. I would do it, but I didn't have to yet. And I saw y'all do it for 3 years, and I know what that takes, and I'm proud, and I hope that you are too. The final thing is, commanders come, commanders go. The squadron has been around since the dawn of the jet age. For decades, our mechanics have worked the rain, the wind, the snow, the heat, the cold, holidays, where we need heater carts to defrost brakes. I mean, it was 20 below a couple times this last winter. It was absolutely hellish. And you guys were out in that. And I hope you're proud of that life, and I hope you remember we made Ascension happen, the largest presidential movement in history. We're first into Africa, first into Nepal. When the president promises help, that help comes in the belly of our jets. When he promises consequences, that comes in the belly of our jets. I just want all of the Bulldogs to be able to look back someday and say, hey, once upon a time I was in the 305 AMXS. When they called us, we went. We didn't ask for help. We didn't ask for a break. We didn't complain much. We're maintainers. We get to complain. But we did our job the very best we could. We did our duty, and we answered the call. That's service to country, and that's what you all do every day. And like I said, now I got to say you instead of we, and that's difficult. General Jimmy Doolittle of the famous Doolittle raid, of course, he wrote a memoir, which I have a copy of. So I do, sir, do professional reading, I promise. But his book was called I Could Never Be So Lucky Again. And I cannot improve upon the General's words. I don't know what the future holds, but I'll never command another squadron. And I'm fortunate and proud and happy that my time doing so was with the mighty 305 AMXS and the 305 Wing. I could never be so lucky again. And I hope that all of you have great lives and do outstanding things. And call me if there's something I can do. I'll be at Missouri. But thank you all very much.